Number 1. Mercedes-Benz S600. When you think about a car that sounds like a Formula 1 car, a luxury sedan is the last thing that will come to mind. The Mercedes-Benz S600 is one of those cars. Powered by an AMG-developed 6-liter V12, this luxury sedan had different power ratings depending on the market. For the Japanese market, this engine was making 374 brake horsepower and 580 Nm of torque. While in the US, it was producing 402 brake horsepower and the same amount of torque. In order to wake up this highly sedated V12, all you need is a proper exhaust system. Take a listen. Number 2. Toyota Century. The Toyota Century is the Japanese counterpart of the Rolls-Royce. Primarily designed and built for Japanese domestic market, this understated luxury limo is a status symbol in Japan. The second generation of this car is powered by a 5-liter V12, making a really conservative 280 brake horsepower and mated to a smooth 4-speed automatic transmission. But since this car has a V12 under the hood, all this car needs a free-flow exhaust system to turn this buttery smooth luxury limo into a screaming monster. Number 3. Lexus LFA. This halo car from Lexus needs no introduction. When it was launched, this bespoke automobile was way ahead of its time. The 4.8-liter V10, which was co-developed with Yamaha, was its main talking point. With an exhaust system tuned by Yamaha's instrumental division, the car sounded like the angels singing from heavens above. And the fact that it produced its peak power of 553 bhp at 9000 rpm made it all that more fun to drive. I don't think that this car will ever need an aftermarket exhaust system, since the stock one sounds this good. Number 4. Ferrari F50. The F50 was the Ferrari's flagship car from the 90s. The 4.7-liter naturally aspirated V12 used in this car was developed from a 3.5-liter V12 which was used in Ferrari's 641 Formula 1 car in the 1990s. In the base form, this engine produces 512 brake horsepower at 8,000 rpm and 471 Nm of torque at 6,500 rpm and redlined at 8,400 rpm. In the GT form, however, those figures rose up to 740 brake horsepower at a sky-high 10,000 rpm and 529 Nm of torque at 7,000 rpm. Number 5. Mazda 787B. The 787B is an outlier in this list because it's a race car. But it would be a crime if I didn't include this car here. Unlike the other cars in this list, this one here is powered by a tiny 2.6-liter 4-rotor Wankel engine. And this tiny engine is capable of producing a massive 900 brake horsepower at 9,000 rpm and 607 Nm of torque at 6,500 rpm. This engine has a redline of 10,500 rpm. I can't help but imagine how awesome it would have been if Mazda produced a road-legal version of this car. Number 6. Pagani Zonda Revolucion. The Pagani Zonda Revolucion was one of the last few versions of their legendary Zonda. Powered by an AMG-built 6-liter V12 producing 800 brake horsepower and 740 Nm of torque, this Italian hypercar sounds downright demonic. If you listen to its exhaust note with your eyes closed, it sounds just like the F1 cars from the competition's golden era. The new Huayra sounds good, but this one is on another level. Number 7. Porsche Carrera. When Porsche initially planned to build the Carrera, they were planning to use a turbocharged Flat 6. Thank God they didn't. Later, the car was redesigned to use a V10 engine. This engine can trace its roots back to a Formula 1 engine which Porsche built for a footwork Formula 1 team but unfortunately never used. This 5.7-liter V10 was rated on 603 brake horsepower and 8,000 rpm and had a red line of 8,400 rpm.